As far back as I can remember, I dreamt of a normal life. A life filled with normal things. A life where monsters don't live in closets or under the bed. A life where ghosts aren't real. I just wanted to be normal. But that didn't happen. It wasn't meant to be. Since my early 20s, I have experienced profound paranormal events that would change my life. Extreme poltergeist activity, living amongst those that have departed this earth in ways unimaginable. It has affected my loved ones and children with no end in sight. I could hear things, see things, and feel things not of this world. I asked myself if this was a gift or a curse. With the help of my mother and close friends, I emerged a paranormal investigator. Since 2013, I have been on a relentless journey to learn about the paranormal. This is my time to share my journey with you. Welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. Hello and welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. I'm your friendly neighborhood ghost hunter, Justin Brown, and we are presenting episode 63 this evening for you folks. We're going to be talking about recipes for a haunting. And I'm pretty surprised I haven't already spoke about this. Maybe I've touched on it. I know I've had to touch on it here and there on past episodes, but here we are now talking about it directly. And I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. I know that tonight we're streaming on RU Media Network's Facebook page for the first time tonight. So if you're watching on that platform, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And hopefully you will enjoy this live webcast this evening. Feel free to comment, give us your feedback, let us know what's going on. Share the live stream out to your friends. And let's make the best of tonight. I know we've had some technical difficulties. We'll go over here to the chat moderators. Are we good to go, Jess?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes, but it doesn't sound like you're coming through your microphone. But that's going to have to do. But Jess is going to be moderating the chat from YouTube, so everybody on YouTube will be chatting with Jess, and Missy's going to try to moderate the chat on both Facebook platforms tonight, so if you want to be shouted out here in a few minutes, go ahead and at least type hi in the chat. We'll try to shout everybody out. If we miss you and you want to be shouted out, don't let us miss you. Just say, hey, shout me out. We want to make you guys feel like you're a part of the stream and a part of this journey that we all are on together. For everybody listening to the show for the very first time on RU Media Network, the mission and goal for this live stream and this particular show is to talk about the paranormal, talk about certain topics, get people interested, get people engaged, and get people talking. The best way to learn is to kind of flesh out ideas, talk about experiences, talk about things that we all like to think about, and just try to learn from each other. I know I try to research the crap out of everything, so we're all in this together. No one's an expert. I'm not trying to tell anybody that they're wrong, but it's just my opinion, and that's all it is at the end of the day. So thank you for joining us. Missy, are you ready?
I am now ready. Yes.
Okay.
I thought I was going crazy there for a few minutes, but I got it.
All right. Okay, so recipes for a haunting. There is so many theories out there, right? And I want to say we'll talk about the obvious theories, or ideas rather. They're not really theories. The obvious beliefs, the most popular beliefs that I've seen and heard and read about in the paranormal community is obviously has to be an untimely death or just a flat out death, either somewhere near the location or the death of somebody that's been in the location, it's meant something to them, whether it's connected to them somehow or they've been in a lot. A lot of people believe that people have to die in the location for it to be haunted in the first place. I don't believe that's true. I believe that when people pass, they can, parts of them, whatever it is, their soul, their psychic imprints, whatever it is, can go to other locations and not just one. Maybe they lived in one place, worked in another place, frequented and visited another place often. I believe that they can go to those places as well. The paranormal can be strange in that way. But I don't believe they have to die in the location. But a lot of people believe that. So if you believe one or the other of those ideas, whatever you subscribe to, let me know what you believe in the comments, because I definitely want to know what you guys think about that in particular. A lot of people believe that certain traumatic events can cause hauntings, whether it be a murder at one end of the spectrum, physical abuse, emotional abuse, not only humans, it could be animals, it can be to the land. I believe it also could be trauma to the land, or even a structure. We're going to get into all the weird ideas and experiences I've had, especially involving buildings and even areas having its own consciousness. I'm not saying it's like ours per se, but I'm saying that they're very much alive and take on their own character and their own intelligence. And I think if you piss off a building, piss off a piece of land, destroy something in that area, it could cause something that we can define as paranormal to happen. And I definitely want to know what you guys think about that idea as well. So we also want to talk about the parapsychological viewpoints with living agents and psychokinetic phenomena, right? Poltergeist phenomena. Can living people cause hauntings? I believe they can. I believe a lot of the times when people call you up, if you're a paranormal investigator, and say, hey, I got something weird going on in my house, a lot of the times, oftentimes, it's the people interacting with energies that we quite not understand scientifically, either with the building, the land, or other people, and causing things, right? So, you know, it's been a long belief that girls, teenagers going through puberty can cause poltergeist activity. Autistic children can be ghost magnets or see things that could attract more phenomena to occur. There's a lot of living agents that we have to consider when thinking about what recipes for hauntings are. So the theme that I kind of want to inject into this show is the recipe for a haunting is not what people on the surface believe it is, in my opinion. I think of it, the recipe is a cake. If you're baking a cake from scratch, you got to have all these ingredients. Of course, all these ingredients can vary, depending on what your taste buds are. But the analogy works like this. You cannot have a cake unless you have someone baking it, making it, gathering it together. So that is the observer. That is the person with the consciousness observing the phenomena. They're baking this cake. And I want to introduce this idea, and I want to know what you guys think. I do not believe that houses are haunted without people to experience them. They can't. I don't think it happens unless someone goes into that space and has that experience. It completes the circuit. It completes the whole thing. And what's interesting to me when we talk about these sort of things is how much of it involves us that's perceiving it. And not only is it just one person that could be experiencing it, it could be two or more. It can be entire family. It could be your pets, your children. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be just one person experiencing the phenomena. It can be a host of people, which makes things really, really interesting. So my point is, the recipes, whatever they are, it's not black or white. It's a spectrum. It's a range. in a very large spectrum, I believe, that can involve all kinds of things. So many different things that people define hauntings come to my mind when I think about it. I've heard all kinds of things: music being played, hearing voices, hearing footsteps, seeing shadow people, seeing full blown apparitions, seeing parts of people, um, partly manifested things, seeing orbs, seeing weird lights, experiencing things disappear and then reappear, experiencing drawers being opened, things levitating, things being thrown around. It There's a long list that we could probably sit there and never, hear the end of, right? Or see the end of the list. So I want to know what you guys think. Is there a certain recipe for a haunting? Because the whole reason behind this question is paranormal researchers, enthusiasts, investigators like to think that they can come up with this recipe that they may be able to replicate to try to gather more supporting evidence, maybe even physical evidence, that the paranormal phenomena that we believe is real is objectively real. We can photograph it, videotape it, we can predict it and replicate it and, study it through, using the scientific method. So the recipe for a haunting, or the mitigating factors for a haunting, is very popular. So that's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to get the conversation going. Are you guys being bombarded with comments or questions yet? Let me know what's happening in the chat. Oh, yeah. Hold on, I'm going to have you repeat that. I had you muted the whole time. I'm sorry, I forgot I had to do that when I switch your screen. Go ahead and shout them out again, Missy.
Okay. I have Valerie. I have Derek. I have Janet. I have Bonnie. I have Wendy. I have Josh. I have Mona, Liz, Nicholas, Michael, Dennis, Jen, Jennifer, Bill, Craig, and Lisa. And on RU Media, I have John Ward and Donna Barry.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, guys. Who do we have over here on YouTube land?
All right, we have Sam Thomas, Dan from Supernatural Lost Adventures, Marilyn, Betty, John Cool, and Darren Smith from the jail.
All right, awesome, guys. So, do we have any questions? Do we have any comments that would spark interesting conversation yet?
I do. Lisa Standiford, she said, so my autistic son is making himself believe he sees the people he tells me he sees.
Okay, so that is a thing. There's a belief that autistic children and young adults and even adults are more perceptible to ghosts, spirits, and stuff. And my idea about that, the most popular one that I'm subscribed to, is that they can be very childlike at times, or in the definition of being autistic is you're receiving sensory information differently than what people call normal. You're dealing with emotions and stimuli in a much different level. So there may be some room in that interpretation or that definition that would allow you to speculate that since they're receiving things differently, they may have a broader spectrum of what they are able to perceive as far as spiritual things or other supernatural things. I also like to think that they're less conditioned than we are. I believe that the reason that children seem to experience a lot of different things that we're not aware of is because they are not conditioned to believe that this stuff isn't real, or fear has not set in to the point where it blocks off a lot of that extra sensory information or happenings. So I definitely am open to that. Whether that's true or not, I have absolutely no idea. If you girls have any feedback on that, you can let it rip. But if not, we'll go on to something else.
Valerie had a question. Do you have anything to add to that, Jess?
No, go ahead.
She asked, as a paranormal investigator, how would you connect the dots, find similarities for a recipe for a haunting?
Well, I can tell you what I've done and what I try to do. What I've done is I try to do experiments, and I try to record data and measure what we call data. And we try to investigate when it's storming, when it's not storming, on all different types of weather conditions. We try to investigate during the day, during the night. We listen to reports of paranormal phenomena either by firsthand interviewing or just reports that people has published online or in books, and see if there's any similarities. We have to cross-check and cross-reference all this information that we have that we can access and see if there's any patterns, see if there's any trends. Okay? So that's where I personally would try to start to connect the dots. We have this big packet that we go into residential cases and ask this packet of questions to these folks that we're helping out, either in their business or home. And we use that packet to try to connect dots also. Okay. It's almost like a diagnosis. It's almost like you're trying to, at the end of the day, you're trying to simplify something that seems complex into something non-complex, almost like a math problem. But that's a pretty good question.
Okay, my next question is, how do you find out if a person or is haunted and not a house?
Well, first thing you ask is, does the same phenomena occur no matter where you're at? Okay, that's one way you can begin. Even, and the perfect scenario for that would be if it's spanned over a large period of time at multiple locations, because sure, one thing can follow you to each location, if that is possible. But if the phenomena changes, if what you're experiencing changes, everywhere you go, then that might mean something else. But you want that's the first thing I would ask. The second thing I would ask is other people experiencing it? Did the people that lived in the house prior to you experience it? That may or may not mean something. Okay, so you kind of have to go those routes to try to infer or try to narrow down possibilities. You can never be sure when when we're talking about the paranormal. But the only thing that I've seen that I do personally, and others that I observe and learn from, is you try to narrow down possibilities and make educated guesses.
Okay, I also had a question. I don't know who asked it. I seen the question, but I don't know who asked it. They wanted to know if you use data loggers.
Yes, we do. We've used dark matter meters in the past. We use EDI pluses currently. We definitely try to log as much data electronically and digitally as we can, and we also keep all of our data logged onto our computers, video, audio, everything, and store it and keep it for cross-referencing, and we refer back to it all the time.
Okay, now I have one more question up on the Justin Brown page, and then I have a question on the RU Media page.
Go ask one question on RU Media, then we'll go to Jess because she has a question too.
Okay. From a religious standpoint in the paranormal, I believe we are like the Bible says, Christ like three parts. When we pass out, our bodies stay here on earth. Our soul goes to heaven or hell. And our energy, which according to science cannot be created or destroyed, just changes forms, is what we come in contact with during our investigations. What are your thoughts?
That's a really good question. Okay. I kind of believe in a two-part existence. I believe that the body is one, and that our what we would, I guess I would call the soul another. I believe our soul has its own consciousness and its own form of memory, but I believe the soul doesn't have a memory like a flesh and blood person does. It is infinite. So to have memory, infinite memory of everything that you've done, it's different, and I do not pretend to know how different it is, but it's different. Time and memory is a thing. So if you're infinite and you're a spirit and you've always been around, whether you're a fractured piece of a larger entity, you can call it God, or if it's all interconnected and not interconnected, then even time itself and the linear experience that we call time is different. Okay, so that's one thing that's going to set apart of how we can relate. But with that being said, the spirit can kind of flow in and out of the past, the present, and the future in a strange way that I cannot possibly explain to you. Okay, with that being said, the body is almost like a form of medium in which the spirit can learn and experience things that it cannot learn and experience in any other way. Okay, so that would give purpose and meaning to why our flesh and body is here in the first place. So I kind of use the analogy, and I try to imagine that the spirit is almost observing from a higher dimension what is going on to fulfill some destiny or some purpose. Okay, what that is up to, it's debatable. If there is any purpose at all, people would debate that there's no purpose. But when we come to understand what paranormal phenomena is from our perspective, I think it's not just always one thing. I think it could be rare occasions that souls do not cross over and they're doing things to the prime material plane, the earthbound plane that we call it. I think that's rare, but I think it can happen. I think that the psychokinetic energy that gets stored up from our time here can manifest in all kinds of ways. Visually manifest, move things around. The energy is transmutable. It can do all kinds of things that we can perceive as ghosts, paranormal, what have you. And then I think that we just flat out create things ourselves and we kind of pin the ghost definition on it. So those are the three possibilities that I can speculate at this point what we could be experiencing. But do I believe that very, very small piece of it is actually the soul, the infinite part of who we are? I think that's not so much the case. All right, Jess, we'll go to you.
All right, I have a few comments and like 2 questions. You want me to just go and then we can take turns?
Do your thing.
Okay. John says you don't even have to be dead to haunt a place as far as residual hauntings go.
I believe that, yeah.
Sam Thomas had a question. Do you believe when there's a death happens where they pass away, does a portal always can open or stay open? Is there a portal when somebody passes away? And does it stay open?
I don't think so. I don't think portals have anything to do with hauntings for the most part. I think that there are vortices and openings to other things, or maybe points where 2 dimensions are touching or crossing. That might be defined or perceived as a portal. But I think portals, for the most part, are science fiction and an element of storytelling. Okay, the science part that we know kind of start talking about wormholes, but wormholes are not applicable to the paranormal field. I know a lot of people, like David Roundtree, has tried to apply wormholes to paranormal things, but I'm not buying that. And the reason I don't buy it is, in order to have a portal that you can go into another plane of existence, is you have to have a lot of gamma radiation. And as far as my research goes, that gamma radiation is going to kill any flesh and blood person that gets near that quite quickly. But I do believe that there are places where energy can behave very similar to what we would call a vortex, but I believe it's only unidirectional. I believe only things can come from wherever else they are to us. I don't think we can go through it like a portal. But I don't think, when we die, portals open up or close or do anything.
Okay, Dan from Supernatural Lost Adventures says, lots to think about that could cause certain phenomena. We are only trying to learn, but nothing is factual. Very hard to pinpoint on what causes these events. Darren had a question. Would you consider it normal for our activity at the jail becoming more personal due to the fact that we're there so often?
Absolutely. I think if you're dealing with something with intelligence and personality, it's going to develop a relationship with whoever's there, and it can be telepathic, it can be empathic, it can be just flat out. You've seen me before, I've seen you before. Kind of like a roommate thing, or passing somebody that works at the same place that you work, or shops at the same place you shop. I mean, it could be anything like that. And I also believe that psychosomatic responses can tie in to what we're experiencing along with the haunting. I think that if you've seen a legit shadow person before, I think that you might be psychosomatically experiencing more shadow play and more shadow people when in fact there isn't any too. So you might feel like it's affecting you differently in that way because it's more subjective experience. But I don't want to say that that's what's going on with anyone. I'm just saying that's possible. But I definitely believe that you could personally have, a relationship with the entities or entity that you're dealing with, for sure.
Well, I think even just what's happened to me before as a remote viewing, and then hearing my name being said, trying to figure out which, is it the location that was just happened or the location that, we're going to. So I think that is, even when you remote view, you can have a relationship as well. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's just what I think.
No, I think you're on point as far as our beliefs and our ideas are when we go to do the psychical research that we do. I think that when you specifically when you connect with a location, remotely before you go there, it's almost like when you go there, it's irrelevant. Really. It's almost irrelevant, because I know when you go there, it's almost like you're expecting things to happen that don't happen. And your idea of, getting things to come through stronger doesn't usually happen the way you think it should. So I think the idea of you physically being there as a psychic kind of gets in the way of what actually you need to be dealing with. How would you respond to that?
I agree with that, because I remember the first one that I went on. I wouldn't say the first one. I would say the jail. I was having a little bit of an issue at the jail because I already went on 2 investigations, and I was already, I did a remote view and stuff. But I think it's like, I don't know. I don't want to say a platform, but it's kind of like you go and you expect things like what you were saying to happen, and for the information you get. But if you walking in there, and I'm far from cocky with my abilities at all, but I feel like you walk in there thinking, okay, well, these past 2 experiences, places that I've been at, I was able to get names, I was able to get feelings, I was, so many different emotions. So I walk in thinking, all right, and nothing. I mean, well, and then I started getting stuff afterwards at the jail. But Madison, but sometimes you're not going to get things, and you're going to have distractions and stuff like that. So.
Right. So, what you expect is not always what you're going to get. And it's going to require a lot more research and a lot more careful thinking outside the box. I know we have a lot of stuff going on Facebook, but is that all you had on YouTube?
I'm done. It's all Missy.
All right, Missy. I feel sorry for you tonight.
It's okay, I got it. Mona wants to know, do you think stress in a sensitive person's life interferes with their ability to experience paranormal things?
It can interfere with everything that we can know for sure, so why not the paranormal? I think it can affect it both ways.
You dealt with it at Madison.
Yep. Sure.
I was mad at Derek. She was mad at someone else. And
so, yeah, right. So if you are someone who is used to experiencing things a certain way, or if you're a medium or psychic and you're going through stress, just think of it like you're trying to go to your normal day job and you're stressed out. Do you perform the same way while you're stressed out? Probably not. So the same, I would say, must be said about anything while you're stressed out.
And I'll also add to that, running around and stuff like that, then you start to feel that you don't have, that you're not in tune, that you're not in tune with your abilities. My instance, I had a week, my daughter was at sheriff's camp, and after that, I mean, not saying that she did anything, but I didn't have to run her around to her friends. I didn't have to, make sure she was fed and ate and showered and all that stuff. But I mean, I felt after that week, like I felt amazing, like in tune with everything. It's like, throw me at something, I got it. And I think a lot of stress, I mean, it tears away with the abilities 100% for sure.
All right.
Okay, next question. How would you separate a psychic medium experiencing a haunting versus a person who is haunted?
Okay, so they want to know is, how can you separate someone being haunted versus a location being haunted if you're a psychic? Did I get that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's tricky. I think a lot of psychics pick up on things and get things wrong all the time, initially. And that is okay. Okay? We're dealing with something that is insane and crazy. Okay? I believe that a lot of psychic and mediums deal with interpretation, something very subjective to them. I work with two psychics. They go in not knowing what the other one's picking up in. They're more different than the same. Okay? We're dealing with two different people. So if you go into a location, you are empath, you're dealing with some kind of empath ability, you can interpret in a way that is not actually correct, but it's not your fault. Okay? I think that the best stance to take is just shelf whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're perceiving and feeling and coming up with, just shelf it. Okay, I feel this, I see this, I smell this, I hear this. I'm not going to make a snap decision or conclude too quickly that I know if it's a location or a person that just walked by or a person with me or a person that's been there 100 years ago. It's very hard. Okay? Take a dog for an instant. They have a very keen sense of smell, but if you take them through a location, if you take a shirt and rub it into the ground where that location is they're sniffing, they may think that it came from a person, and in fact it came from a shirt. Okay, so there's kind of like a flaw or a limitation rather to how they're able to come up with an idea of what they're dealing with. Someone could have walked through there, someone could live there. So just, it's a sense, but you have this much information and you're trying to fill a hole with this much interpretation. Hopefully that answered the question.
Well, can I say something?
No. And
are you picking up what I'm going to say? Because for the very first time, I might say I disagree with Justin.
All right, let's hear it.
This is just my aspect and how I get things. I walk in and get a download. So yes, I have to put everything together as I'm doing my walkthrough or as it all hits me once. But I can't necessarily put everything like what you were saying on a shelf, only because of the fact of a lot of times when things come into my head, I won't remember it. Everything is just pushed off, and it's not, if I'm saying something, it's me obviously speaking, but I won't remember it. It's like some of these, like the interviews and stuff. Like I don't remember what
You want us to do the old Lincoln County Jail in the Madison Seminary, and I'm like, I don't remember.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't. I'm sure it might be the same with Missy, but I mean, with me, it's like when I'm getting things to me, I don't remember what I'm saying unless it's talked about right then and there. It's just like my readings. I don't know what I'm saying, so unless we talk about it, I have no idea unless we
The
talk
only
about it
thing that I
afterwards.
remember is like if I hear it, like the clairaudience stuff, I remember, but I don't remember much of anything else.
Well, it's just like the roads. I knew I cried. I don't remember why I cried. Well, I do now, obviously, because the video's out. But I mean, if it's something like that, I'll remember. But sorry, Justin, I had to disagree with you.
Well,
Sorry.
you bring up an interesting point, but the reason I said that is because of the question they asked. They wanted to
Oh,
they
okay.
wanted to determine whether it was a person or the location.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Well, it's like Dennis said, one spirit may want to interact with one psychic and not the other.
Right, and that's the thing. If you're dealing with someone that's like you but not physically there, they can someone can choose to talk to this person over here. They can choose to talk to you girls but not me. They don't
Right.
like me for whatever reason, but they like you. So they get it, I don't. You go to the same location. Someone mentioned that they went to Gettysburg to one location. It was active. They got stuff. They went back another time. Nothing. Was that because of all the different factors that are involved with the recipe for a haunting? Or was it because they were grumpy that day and didn't want to interact? We don't know.
And I think there's days that, on the other side that they don't want to interact. I mean,
Right.
Why can't they be grumpy? They can be grumpy.
Maybe you both should watch footage of your walkthroughs and maybe that will trigger things that happen that night.
Who said that?
Josh Bender.
Mr. Josh Bender. You're fired.
First, I want to read this comment. First off, she said, my husband just passed 9 days ago. I wonder if there would be a time period that he may try to communicate with me. I will not try to call on him.
Okay. Let this happen. I think you have the right idea. You should not obsess about, him coming to you or trying to conjure him up or communicate. I think the less stress and expectation you put on that happening, the more natural or anything that could or may happen will happen. I am very sorry that you have to go through that. It's probably the hardest thing that I can think of is to deal with. And your faith in him not vanishing from this existence is the most important thing right now. Accepting his passing and his journey through this life into whatever else is out there and knowing that process is in place is the best thing. Having a support group around you, friends and family there to support you, that's the best thing you can do right now. The first thing that probably will happen is in dream form. If you start having dreams, whether people will debate or argue that they're just in your head or it's the actual communication from your husband or not, does not matter. It's what matters is how it makes you think and feel about the whole situation. I mean, if someone wants to argue if ghosts are real or not, I can argue that we are not real. Anybody can argue any fucking thing that they want to, whether it's real or not. That's where people go wrong. What's important is what we believe and how we handle our perception of this reality. That's the only thing that matters, okay? No one feels what you feel. No one's going to feel exactly how you're feeling. With that being said, let it happen if it happens. Please try to get a support group. If you have one, that's great. He's probably going to come to your dreams. You may see signs of him, smells, certain little things, but try not to obsess over it. Jess, can you kind of relate with your mom?
I was just going to say the same thing. Sorry. Just look for signs and messages, but like what Justin was saying, but don't keep reaching for them. You'll know. Like what Justin said about dreams, or I mean, you'll know the messages once they come to you. And I'm emotional. Sorry, go ahead.
It's all right. It's it's emotional. Anybody that's gone through, that it's not fun, but yeah, we could sit here and talk a lot about that, but yeah, please, just rely on your support group and your faith, and I wish you all the best with that.
And if she has any questions or anything regarding that kind of stuff, tell her, find me on Facebook.
I think I'm caught up now.
Oh boy.
If I missed anybody, I'm sorry.
If we missed you, ask again. Put it in all caps. Scream at us.
Yes, please.
All right. Are we clear on YouTube?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So, I did see that John Cool was on. I kind of want to go back through his comments because I thought he had some comments that I wanted to read to make sure.
Yeah, I saw that he had. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, I missed it. I'm sorry.
Go ahead and read his. I want to make sure that we address it.
I don't have it up.
Okay, I can.
I don't know how far it up.
One parapsychologist said that if we could eliminate the subconscious of the psychic, the consciousness of the spirit could be told more accurately. And yes, that is very true. And we talk about that all the time. And we just can't do that easily. And I feel like what we're trying to study right now is how we get our psychics in a state where their subconscious and other distractions aren't as much of a factor as they usually are. So many distractions. There's so many things to worry about. I feel like all the good psychics and all the good spirit workers that I see, they kind of get themselves in a meditative state. The writers, the spirit writers, they kind of know how to get themselves in a state where they can do the writing stuff. So I think it kind of translates into whatever your abilities are. So whatever your abilities are, if you can get yourself in a state to where you kind of remove yourself and your own imagination and your own fears, expectations, baggage, if you will, the better it'll be.
Dennis has a question. He wants to know what our favorite candy bars are. Haha.
Yay, Dennis!
My favorite candy bar would have to be a Payday.
My favorite is the ones that's not flying by my head. Dennis. Oh, I love Dennis.
Yep, we all love Dennis.
Even when he's throwing candy bars at us.
True.
Any attention is good attention, I guess. If you're getting shot at or if you're getting projectiles at you, it's attention, right?
Well, actually, the past 2 years, both times we've been at Gettysburg, he's been like right across from us.
Mm-hmm.
The first year, I think he was flipping those bracelets.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's all right. I'll take the candy. Like I need it.
Yeah, I think that's by design. I think they kind of look at the booths and they kind of say, okay, this is the way it was the year prior. It worked out, so let's do it again this year. There's a lot that they probably have to deal with when they come to planning on the season.
Oh, sure.
That's definitely a fun event. Okay, so are we clear on the questions? If you have any more questions or comments that you think make for an interesting dialogue for this subject matter, please let us know. Hi, Jamie. I see you. Hi, Sandy. I don't know if you guys were shouted out earlier or just joining us.
Jamie just jumped on. Sandy jumped on without my knowledge. Eric McGill is on RU Media, and the Ghost Sisters are on RU Media.
Yeah, I just noticed that Brendan Shea just jumped on our. Hey guys, what's going on? We're doing multiple platforms. Hopefully this show just fits right in on the RU Media page. If not, David's going to message me probably quickly saying, hey man, you're out of here. Or hey man, don't leave. One or the other.
Dennis said they know who's friends with him.
Who's they?
Probably with Dennis.
The Pam and
okay.
Steve.
Okay. Yeah. You don't have to be that observant to know who gets along and who doesn't, I would imagine.
Jennifer McCourt said mediums and psychics can slow their brain waves down more than the average person can. This is why they see what they see and hear.
Yeah, and that's interesting because the subconscious operates on a slower wavelength, and there's a lot of people believe that whatever their psychic abilities are, they have to kind of tap into altered brain states. So I definitely would like to know if that's actually true. I would love to have the equipment to test those things. Unfortunately, we don't. The last experiment I tried to do with the girls was horrible. Like, it was a horrible idea. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm just taking shots in the dark. Like, having them sit in a museum of haunted items and tell me what they feel about one is pretty dumb. But I didn't think about that. I tried to remove one artifact and put it into the new room, but what I should have done is took it way, way far away from that area.
Like outside, like around the block.
In another state.
Well, and not made us sit outside for 5 hours prior to try to read the object.
Starving.
Had to pee. A good thing it wasn't cold.
That's right.
I will say regarding Jennifer's comment, I forget what show it was. I believe it actually was Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz actually has a lot of psychics and mediums on the shows. But anyways, I was watching an episode and they were talking about psychic and mediums about the brain waves. So of course I was interested and I was watching it. That they did a scan of the brain when they're just nothing's going on. So there was still, little sparks of fire going on. But when they're reading somebody, it's like, I don't want to say dead, but it's like there's no activity whatsoever, even compared to them just sitting around. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, I would definitely be interested in that. You're going to have to see if you can find me where to watch that or listen to it.
RU Media Network says fits perfectly. Spot is yours for as long as you want it.
I see that. I like
it. That's only because Missy and I are on here.
Right?
That's all. As long as there's something.
Dennis said EKG machines have shown different areas of the brain triggering during connections.
What I would expect is if a psychic is seeing something, their visual cortex will be stimulated. They're smelling something, their olfactory, lobe would be stimulated. Whatever sense that they're using, if it's part of the five senses, will be stimulated. If it's outside the five part of the senses, me and my mother would say it would be in the pineal gland. So that's the research that I am really interested in. The parts that are outside the five senses, where's that going on? Is it the pineal gland, or is it something else, or something that cannot be measured yet? I want all that information. Gets my juices going. Not those juices, Jess. Quit thinking about it.
Why do I get blamed for it?
I don't know. It's funny.
That's nasty.
There's so many comments on Facebook, man. How are you even going through this, Missy?
I'm doing a pretty good job, I think. Josh said we were all starving. We devoured that pizza.
Yeah. When I watched the video, it didn't look like I was going to die of starvation anytime soon. Just for the record. I probably could have skipped the pizza.
Jen Watley said you do alpha, beta, etc., like sleep to clear your thoughts. Some at trance levels.
I would love to hook you up to an EEG and watch you do that. Can you do that for me?
Me?
No.
Oh, okay.
Was that Jen Whaley?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to see you perform that. That would be something. And, people just meditating, too. I want to see what states... I'm sure that's online somewhere. I'm going to look it up. EEG readings during meditation.
I say let's do it, Dennis, but you have to do it with me.
Okay. No. Meditation, not okay. Meditation practices can change the way of thinking. The spectral power and coherence of EEG define delta, theta, and alpha frequency bands to characterize different meditation states. Numerous researchers have been, or researches rather, have been carried out to scientifically explore the principal brain neurological changes during medication. So, if you click on the link, it gives you an article. Ooh, and data and references to the scientific data. It's online, folks, but I want to do my own stuff. I want to concur or not concur with this. I just want to hook people. I just want to hook my friends up to stuff. Be honest. That's what I want to do.
I would so like you. I've had like 2 hours of REM sleep in the last 4 days.
Wow.
That sounds like a lot. Is that a lot or not a lot?
2 hours in 4 days? I don't think that's good.
What's the average? Let's Google say the average amount of REM sleep a night is. Sorry, we digress. What is the average amount of REM sleep a night?
Spirit Stalker Afterlife has joined.
Dennis said I'm game.
Let's do it, Dennis.
Dennis wants to be hooked up to stuff.
We can throw candy bars at each other while we're getting it done.
The average healthy adult gets roughly 1 to 2 hours of deep sleep per 8 hours of nightly sleep. So you're getting about half as much as you probably should.
Well, I'm only sleeping like 5 hours a night. That's the average. So,
Okay. Well, that would be your first problem because from the sleep studies I've seen, the average amount, it depends on how fast you rise and fall through the spectrum. If you go through the spectrum quickly, 5 hours might be enough, but you go up and down through the spectrum. So you need to reach the amount of up and downs through the spectrum to be well rested, as far as I know. All right, well, this hour flew by super freaking fast. Supernatural Lost Adventures, probably 3 hours. It says the average healthy adult gets roughly 1 to 2 hours. So 2 hours should be enough of REM. But you don't fill that whole 2 hours all at once. You peak and then you go down, then you go back up to REM, then you go down. So you might want to hit it 6 to 8 times to complete the 2 hours. That's why you have multiple dream experiences during your sleep. It's not always just one dream all the time. If you do only have one dream, that may be an indicator that you only reached REM stage once, or you might have forgot the others. Who knows? Okay.
Valerie's comments funny. Who in the hell gets 8 hours of sleep at night?
I do. I do more.
Do you really?
Yeah. Yes, I do. If I don't, I'm even worse than I am.
Oh.
Now, when we go out and investigate, no, absolutely not. But when I'm here, I do.
Spirit Stalker Afterlife says, am I the only one buffering?
Jamie said she was too.
Looks good on my end on Facebook and YouTube.
It looks good on my end on both platforms. So
Yeah.
I'm on YouTube, yeah.
Try refreshing the page. We're streaming on 1080 on YouTube and 720 on Facebook, so our bit rate might be a little high for your internet. I don't know. The bandwidth might be taxing your bandwidth. So try to refresh and see if that helps. Tell everybody in their house to turn off their Wi-Fi right now.
Just to watch the soapbox.
So yeah, what do you think, girls? Do you think we fleshed out the idea of what is defined as the recipe for a haunting? What do you girls think? Do you think it's just a whole bunch of crap that's impossible to tie up in a neat little bow to tell somebody, or?
Yeah, I don't think there's a bow you can put on it.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's not cookie cutter. I don't think.
So, Yeah, when you go into someone's home and you try to tell them what you think is going on, the most important thing to tell them before you say anything is, I really can't give you any solid proof that what I'm about to tell you is what's actually happening. I can tell you based on my experience, based on my research, and based on what I have observed while I was here investigating. And that is the best you can do. You know, people that claim that they can go into someone's home and tell you exactly what, I mean, there's a lot of mediums and psychics that will tell you, I can go right into your home and tell you exactly what's going on. I mean, I really think that that's dangerous to assume that you know exactly what could be going on. Okay? I think if you have a psychic ability, information can be downloaded to you or presented to you falsely. I think you can receive false information on the psychic level. I think you can receive false information even if you're an average Joe. But I believe everybody has psychic ability. I believe when you're experiencing paranormal phenomena, your psychic self is activated, whether you like it or not, folks. So part of that recipe, the takeaway from this show is you are part of that recipe, guys and girls. Go ahead.
Wait, one thing. Remember, what did Adam say from Madison?
He said a lot.
No, I meant but about the hauntings and stuff. He says, do you think with us going that we're the ones that's doing? I don't remember how he worded it.
He says that we're part of the haunting. Since we're part of the history, we're part of the haunting.
You leave your energy wherever you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if Walmart's haunted, we're going to be part of that.
In some ways, more so than others. Yeah. But what his point was is that we are all in it. We are part of the energy of that location now. He is a part of that location. We are now a part of that location. We have all put our heart and our vibrations and our energy and wadded it up there. And now we're connected. So he feels connected to that location. His passion and art and work through that location connects other people. And that is what he's very much aware of. So it translated fine to me. I definitely believe that other people said earlier in the show that you can haunt a place while you're alive. That's what parapsychology says all the time. So the takeaway is you are the main ingredient for the recipe. Make no mistake. Okay? Does anybody have any further comments, questions before we wrap this up?
No, I have no questions, and they're just talking amongst themselves now.
All right.
Spirit Stalker says he will haunt the toy section of Walmart.
That's a good move. All right, girls. Thank you very much. You did great. I will wrap this show up. All right, guys. The takeaway, like I said, recipes for a haunting. There's a lot of recipes out there. There's a lot of recipes in a haunted cookbook. The only common denominator is you, the person cooking the cake. Okay? So when you go out there and investigate, when you go out there at a haunted location, don't matter where you're at. If you're experiencing something, the main thing that we can be sure about is you. We can be sure about ourselves for the most part, right? So with that being said, I hope that's a good takeaway for, what I think recipes for hauntings are. I want to thank you guys very much for joining me. Thanks for all the comments and thoughts and well wishes. Thanks, Dave, for having us on the RU Media Network. Thank you all who has watched us on RU Media Network tonight. We go live every Tuesday with this show at 8 p.m. to 9. I am trying to cook up another something maybe for RU. I don't know, but stay tuned for that. Thank you for whoever's watching, all those beautiful people I see in the chat from the Justin Brown Paranormal Research page on Facebook and Interface Death on YouTube. You guys are freaking awesome. Now, hopefully that this new setup that we have is working good and you guys like it. But what we'll do now is we'll take a look at the links. We're going to do some shameless plugs here. Interface Death is where you can go check out our website, see everything there is Interface Death, research, gear, videos, everything's on there. Okay, all the links to our social media is on there. It's the hub of what we do. If you're watching on YouTube or RU Media Network, you could check out Justin Brown Paranormal Research on Facebook and Interface Death on Facebook. We're on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're watching on Facebook only, please consider going over to Interface Death's YouTube channel and hitting that subscribe button and clicking that notification bell. It's completely free to you and helps us out a lot. Patreon.com/support Interface Death is a way for you to help us financially to keep this show free for everybody else consuming this content. It helps us with our video productions, with the documentaries, our live shows, everything that we do. People like Clay Borman, Katie Turner, R.J. Murphy, Scotty Fox, Casey Schreiner, Jessica Bias, Paranormal Reporter, Joe Vitelli, Heather Elliott, Cherry Capital Shadow Seekers, The Ghost Gills, Kelly McConkey, Tony Felosi, General 7, and I forgot to put Betty Kegley on here. I want to put her name on here right now. Hopefully I just spelled her name right. I think it's Ley. Heck, I don't know, Betty. If you're watching, you can shoot me later on that. But there they are. You can I want you to extend their thanks to them for making this show free and available to you guys each and every week. Every time we put something out, that's who you have to thank. So we thank them very much. If you want to know more about Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/support Interface Death. The link is in the video description. It's a way that you can get financial support and get rewarded for doing so. So please check that out. If you're on Facebook, I urge you to go over to United Paranormal Society and give me an invite to join the group. We do everything paranormal there. We allow you to share your shows, your paranormal work, your videos, your articles, your thoughts. Everything's welcome. And the thing for that is per unity. So check that out. You guys are awesome. I'm going to leave it there. You are in my hearts. I bid you farewell. Necromancer is next Wednesday. I will remind you who I have on the show next Wednesday. Just one moment. I'm getting blown up. Who do we have? Vicky Burnett. Vicky Burnett will be joining us next week. Also, I will tell you that the Patreons vote for the topics for this show. So if you want your topic to be talked about, Patreon's where it's at, guys. You guys have a good one. Stick around if you have not seen the video promotions at the end of the show. If you would like to submit an ad to be played on this show at the end of the show or during breaks, let me know. We'll do a little cross promotion. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Do you have that drive? That morbid curiosity to explore the darkness? Do you have what it takes to brave the night? You do? Good.
see you. What the fuck was that?
In every old building, a story lays dormant, yearning to be told. This is our calling.
I don't know why in this room, I'm hearing the train.
I just heard something.
It feels like it's train. Non-stop. I don't know why. I feel there was a lot of chaos a few times. A lot of hectic and a lot of energies all at once. Feels like there's an older gentleman, like he's almost angry.
So we walked out to the side of the house and we both felt like something was watching us. So at the same time, we turn and we look up at the tower and we see a man standing there. He was an older gentleman and he had, like his cheeks were kind of hanging down and his gray hair was swept back and he had a maroon dressing gown on.
I do believe that I have some sort of ability, or genuinely I could be in this house all day, all night without any complaints whatsoever. It's just that comfortable. A lot of people think just because it's haunted and just because it has paranormal activity that automatically you're supposed to run screaming for the hills, but in this place it just feels like home.
I heard footsteps.
5-degree increase.
It walked away. It's behind you.